Hey guys, hope you're having a great week. Hope everything's going well. Hope you're staying safe and having a great summer. Just wanted to get on here and give you your weekly devotional, just touch base and see how everybody's doing. I would love it if you leave me a comment down in the comments below. Let me know how you're doing. If you have any questions, if you just want prayer, if you just want to leave me a thumbs up saying, hey, what's up, that's cool too. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Just wanted to touch base any way I can. And as usual, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Click the bell icon so you can be notified when we upload our videos and you can stay up to date with what we're doing. With that being said, let's get on to the video.
You are the source of life, and I can't be left behind. No one else will do, and I will take hold of you, 'cause I need you, Jesus, to come to my rescue. Where else can I go? There's no other name by which I am saved. And you capture me with grace. I will follow you. Is yours for life. say that I'm your friend. You are my desire. No one else will do. 'Cause nothing else can take your place. To feel the warmth of your embrace. Help me find a way to bring me back to you. You're all I want. You're all I've ever needed. You're all I want. Help me know you are here. Draw me close to you. Never let me go. I lay it all down to hear you say that I'm your friend. You are my desire. No one else will do. 'Cause nothing else can take your place. To feel the warmth of your embrace. Help me find a way to bring me back to you. You're all I want. You're all I've ever needed. You're all I want. Help me know you are near. You're all I want. You're all I've ever needed. You're all I want. Help me know you are near. Help me know you are near. Help me know you are near. Heavenly Father, just thank you tonight, Lord. Just thank you for who you are. Just for everything you do, Lord, for sacrificing your Son on the cross for our sins, Lord. For letting us even when we didn't deserve it. Because that's who you are. Just help us to realize that you're all we need, Father. You're all that we should want in our life. That's what we need to strive towards, is a relationship with you. For giving you our all and loving you in everything, Father. Thank you for always being there for us and always having our back. We thank you for everything. In your name we pray. Amen. Who here that was here last week can remember what we started talking about? In Genesis, yes, we talked about Noah. Good job, Thomas. So today we're going to kind of finish up the story of Noah and the flood. And we're going to do quite a bit of reading because it's a kind of a cool story, and I'm just going to read through it. It's going to be on the screen. If you got your Bible, you can turn to it. We're going to be in Genesis 7 and 8 today. I'm so excited to be here. So, let's go ahead and jump into reading. I'll kind of interject some thoughts as we go through the reading of this. And I stole Pastor Nathan's Bible because mine is in a different translation than what I put on the slides. And I didn't want to do the slides again, so we're going to use his Bible tonight. So, go ahead, turn there if you want. If not, like I said, it's going to be on the screen. And this is Noah's Ark. If you've heard that, I'm sure you have. So, verse 7, or chapter 7, verse 1. When everything was ready, the Lord said to Noah, "Go into the boat with all your family. For among all the people of the earth, I can see that you alone are righteous." So, last week we talked about that humanity had gotten really big, really huge, lots of people, but they also become extremely wicked. They become extremely wicked, extremely vile. Just everything they did was bad and wrong. And there were some fallen angels we talked about that started marrying in and corrupting the bloodline. And so God decided to destroy everybody. But he decided to save Noah because his family was pure. And he knew he could rebuild humanity with Noah's family. So he spares Noah, and he tells him to start building a giant boat and get ready for a flood. That's what happened last week. So that's what this is talking about. Picks it back up there. The flood is coming. Noah's family is the only one going to be saved because they are righteous. Verse 2. Take with you 7 pairs of animals, male and female of each animal, I have approved for eating and for sacrifice. And take 1 pair each of the others. Also take 7 pairs of every kind of bird. There must be a male and a female in each pair to ensure that all life will survive on the earth after the flood. 7 days from now I will make the rains pour down on the earth, and it will rain for 40 days and 40 nights, until I have wiped from the earth all living things I have created. So Noah did everything as the Lord commanded him. So he tells Noah, find 2 of every animal, a male and a female of every animal, and make sure they're on the boat. So that way when the flood's over, they can start populating the earth again. But he tells them of the clean animals, which there was a certain number of animals that God allowed people to eat and that were acceptable for the sacrifices, animals like lambs and goats and cows and certain types of bird that they would use for their sacrifices. He told them to take 7 pairs of those. And you'll see why when we get to the end of the story. But he says, make sure all these animals are on board in 7 days. There's 7 days to get this done. At the end of 7 days, the flood's going to start coming. It says Noah did what the Lord commanded him. Verse 6. Noah was 600 years old. 600 when the flood covered the earth. He went on board the boat to escape the flood. He and his wife and his sons and their wives. With them were all the various kinds of animals, those approved for eating and for sacrifice, and those that were not, along with all the birds and the small animals that stray along the ground. They entered the boat in pairs, male and female, just as God had commanded Noah. And after 7 days, the waters of the flood came and covered the earth. When Noah was 600 years old, on the 17th day of the 2nd month, all the underground waters erupted from the earth, and the rain fell in mighty torrents from the sky. And the rain continued to fall for 40 days and 40 nights. So the rain starts falling. The animals show up. They get them all loaded. They get on the boat. And not only does it start to rain, but all the springs where the water comes up like wells and the oceans, they just start to rise with water. And the water starts coming from everywhere and filling and flooding the earth. Verse 13, that very day Noah had gone into the boat with his wife and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives. With them in the boat were pairs of every kind of animal, domestic and wild, large and small, along with every birds of every kind. 2 by 2 they came into the boat, representing every living thing that breathes. A male and female of each kind entered, just as God had commanded Noah. Then the Lord closed the door behind them. For 40 days the flood water grew deeper, covering the ground and lifting the boat high above the earth. And as the waters rose higher and higher above the ground, the boat floated safely on the surface. Finally, the water covered even the highest mountains on the earth, rising more than 22 feet above the highest peaks. All the living things on earth died: birds, domestic animals, wild animals, small animals that scurry along the ground, and all the people. Everything that breathed and lived on dry land died. God wiped out every living thing on the earth. People, livestock, small animals that scurry along the ground, birds of the sky, all were destroyed. The only people who survived were Noah and those with him on the boat. And the floodwaters covered the earth for 150 days. So the flood, it went and covered everything on the earth. It says it went 22 feet above the highest mountain peak. Think about how tall that is. Who knows what the biggest mountain in the world is? Mount Everest, right? Does anybody know how tall it is? I don't know either. Siri, how tall is Mount Everest? So 29,029 feet. So the water was 22 feet above that even. So that tells you how much water is covering the earth. It's a lot of water, isn't it? God made sure, about 6 water molecules. I'm pretty sure it was more than that. But God made sure that nothing was going to survive this flood. Most things can't even survive on Mount Everest. Humans, when they climb Mount Everest, have to have oxygen because the air is so thin and it's so cold that they'll die without it. And God takes the water 22 feet above that level, ensuring that the evil that is in the world will not survive. So God makes sure nothing is going to live. Because he is tired. He is sick and tired of what had happened in the world. He was done with it. He was done with the evil. And he made sure and made certain that it would not prevail. Go to chapter 8. So it had been raining 40 days, 40 nights. The water had risen. And the floodwaters had covered the earth for 150 days. Chapter 8. But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and livestock with him in the boat. And he sent a wind to blow across the earth, and the floodwaters began to recede. The underground water stopped flowing, and the torrential rains from the sky were stopped. So the floodwaters gradually receded from the earth. After 150 days, exactly 5 months from the time the flood began, the boat came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. 2.5 months later, as the waters continued to go down, other mountain peaks became visible. So, 7.5 months already they've been in the boat now. I don't know about you, but I get kind of crazy. Floating in a boat with a bunch of animals and just your family. I mean, how many of you can stay in a car ride for 20 minutes with your family, right? Imagine 7.5 months so far, right? And that's not it. That's just the mountains are starting to be seen. The mountaintops are starting to be seen. Verse 6, after another 40 days, Noah opened the window he had made in the boat and released a raven. And the bird flew back and forth until the floodwaters on the earth had dried up. He also released a dove to see if the water had receded and it could find dry ground. But the dove could find no place to land because the water still covered the ground. So he returned to the boat, and Noah held out his hand and drew the dove back inside. Then after waiting another 7 days, Noah released the dove again. This time the dove returned to him in the evening with a fresh olive leaf in its beak. Then Noah knew that the floodwaters were almost gone. And he waited another 7 days, then released the dove again. And this time it did not come back. Verse 13. Noah was now 601 years old. So a full year has passed since they went in the boat. On the first day of the new year, 10.5 months after the flood began, the floodwaters had almost dried up from the earth. Noah lifted back the covering of the boat and saw that the surface on the ground was dry. 2 more months went by, and at last the earth was dry. So they were in the boat for an entire year. That's how long it took for the flood to come and recede and the ground to dry. Then God said to Noah, "Leave the boat, all of you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Release all the animals, the birds, the livestock, and the small animals that scurry along the ground, so they can be fruitful and multiply throughout the earth." So Noah, his wife, and his sons and their wives left the boat, and all the large and small animals and birds came out of the boat, pair by pair. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and there he sacrificed as burnt offerings the animals and birds that had been approved for that purpose. So those animals that God told him to take 7 of every kind, that's why they took it. They took it as a sacrifice for when the flood was over. So that 6 extra pair of all those animals were sacrificed as an offering to God. And the Lord was pleased with the aroma of the sacrifice and said to himself, "I will never again curse the ground because of the human race. Even though everything they think or imagine is bent toward evil from childhood, I will never again destroy all living things. As long as the earth remains, there will be planting and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night." So God promises that he will never do this again. He said, "I will never flood the earth again." Even though he knows that mankind is still going to be evil. In his plan, he knows that everything has been set okay enough, that he doesn't have to do this again. Noah's family is going to start over, and from Noah's family down through the generations is where Jesus comes from. Jesus can be traced all the way back to Noah, and then all the way back to Adam accordingly. But because of Noah's righteousness, God's plan was continued in through Jesus. Now Noah, he could have very easily said, "No, I don't want to do that, God. I don't want to have to deal with it." How many of you guys get asked to do things or have responsibilities and you're just like, "I'd rather not do that," right? Yeah? I mean, some days. How many of you guys have a job? Maybe 1 or 2 of you? How many days do you wake up and you don't want to go do your job? A lot of days. How many of you guys have chores at home? How many times do you wake up and say, "I don't want to do those chores today. I don't want to do what my parents asked me to do," right? We've all been there. Noah had this choice too. He could have told God, "No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to deal with the ridicule. I don't want to have to deal with what people are going to say to me or about me." And God would have chosen another way to go about this. He probably would have wiped out the entire earth and just created a new Adam and Eve and started over that way. But his plan, and he knew Noah's heart, and knew Noah would step up and accept this challenge. And it's something all of us as humans and as Christians have to do as well. We have to step up and take that exact same challenge, not so much of carrying on the entire human race, but we have to step up and take that commitment to follow what God asks us to do. He asks every single one of us to make certain choices in our lives, right? He asks us to be respectful to our parents, to be respectful to other people, to follow the laws that he has given us, and to follow the laws of the land. Even when it may be hard or it may seem like something we don't want to do, we have that responsibility to step up just like Noah did and follow the things that God has asked us to do. And it may seem hard. Noah got made fun of. His family got made fun of because they decided to do what was different. But God always has our back. God had a plan. He saved Noah. And he was there for Noah. And he will be there for you just the same. You don't have to worry about what people are going to think about you. Because what people think about you ultimately doesn't matter. And I know in culture today, that's something that people don't think about. Most people, all they think about is how they look to other people, right? I mean, we live in a culture of YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, where it's all about how many people are following me, how many people see the cool things I'm doing every day, and how many people approve of what I do, right? And that's not the lifestyle that God asks us to live. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a YouTuber or TikTok or being on Instagram and doing those things. Those things can be very helpful. Those things can be amazing tools and amazing ways for you to get the Word of God and the love of God out there to people. And if you are on those platforms, I encourage you to act like a Christian should. Act accordingly. Don't be running your mouth and cussing people out and putting people down and just being mean and hateful. Be uplifting. Be the light that shines in the darkness. Be different. Make stuff that makes people happy, makes people feel good about themselves. Encourage people. If you have a lot of followers on those things, you're influencing a lot of people. And think about how you're influencing them. Is what you do daily on those apps and those websites uplifting people? Is it tearing them down? Is it bringing them to God? I mean, think about that. Think about the influence you have over your peers. Think about the influence they have over you. Think about the people that you're watching and the people you're following. Is it good for you? Is it good for your heart? Is it good for what's going to grow you and turn you into? We have to make the choice to either stand up for God or stand against God. There's no in between. You can't have one foot in the world and one foot in Christ to be successful. You're either going to follow the world or you're going to follow God. And in the end, only one gets you to heaven. You can't live in the world and make it to heaven. You have to make a commitment to Christ. You have to make a commitment to follow God and follow His teaching and strive to do everything He asks every day. Yes, you will make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. You may fail every single day, and that's okay. What matters is what you do when you fail. If you say, I'm giving up, I'm never going to do this, I'm never going to be good enough, that's the mistake. God is always there. Every time you fail, He's right there holding out His hand to pull you back up and back to Him. All you have to do is repent, ask for forgiveness, and try to live your life the way He asked you to live it. Noah could have given up several times. He could have said, I'm done with this. It's too much work. It's too hard. I'm not going to do it. Find somebody else. But he didn't. Think about that. Think about the struggles you have. Think about what it is that trips you up every day in your walk with the Lord. The thing that tears you down, that makes you hate yourself and hate what you've become. Try to change that. Don't go down those paths that lead you to that place. Think about what you're doing. Think about what you're watching. Think about who you are influencing as well. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you. We love you and thank you for the sacrifice you made of sending your Son to die for us. And for a heart like Noah to step up in the midst of ridicule, in the midst of everybody making fun of him, and he just still chose to follow you no matter what the cost. He said, I don't care. You asked me to do it, I'm going to do it. I just pray that we get that heart, and we get those thoughts in our head that it doesn't matter what the world wants. It doesn't matter what is popular by the world. What matters is what you ask us to do, Father. I just pray that you open our eyes to see that things that we are influenced by and the people that we are influencing as well, Lord. And help us to be conscious of that and make wise decisions with what we watch and what we post places. The things we say, the things we do impact not just ourselves. They can impact multiple people in multiple ways. So help us to be encouraging and to lift people up and build people up and not tear people down. Help us to live the way you ask us to live, to love people no matter what, to love them and show them respect, because that's what you would do. We don't always have to agree with the things they are doing. And that's okay to disagree, but we still have to love people in spite of that. We need to show people respect and honor them because they are humans and you love them no matter what, and we should as well. I just pray that you be with us and help us keep that in our mind as we go and we interact with people every day, whether it's in person or online or on our phones in whatever capacity, Lord. Just help us make wise decisions and to follow you and listen to everything you do, Lord. We thank you and love you. And we pray. Amen.
Well, I hope that gives you guys some encouragement, maybe something to kind of think about, to stand up and to stand for God and not stand for the world, and to follow him and listen to him, even when it can be hard and even when it can be rough, because his way is the right way, even when it's the hard way. So I hope you guys find some encouragement in that. Hope you take some time, get in your word, read, pray, spend some time with God every day, and just stay safe and have a great rest of the summer. And I would love to see you guys, if you're in the area, come by the Church of God at 7 o'clock on Wednesday nights. We have service. Would love to have you here. And if not, we love having you watch our videos, and just hope you're staying safe and getting the word. And as always, love God and love others. Peace.